Effective character development is not absolutely essential. Look at, if you read Greek mythology, those characters are minimally developed. We hardly know anything about them. They don't stand out as individuals. Someone can create a great story without going too much, without working too much on exactly who their characters are and make them resemble as much real live, breathing, walking human beings. But there is a great percentage of potential audience that are interested in what is called three-dimensional characters. So there is a character that is described as flat, or there is a character that is described as three-dimensional. And we could spend a lifetime studying psychology, psychiatry, sociology, writing down everything that we overhear people say, looking at them, trying to figure out why they do what they do. And it's a fascinating journey, and there is no end to that exploration. And anyone who embarks on studying people and who they are and why their inner workings and why they do what they do will discover things that no one else has discovered. And as writers, improving in our character portrayal is a fascinating journey in itself. Here we are. Put yourself in the place of the fiction writer. You're sitting down, you're making up a new character, and you have your story, and before you is a character not developed at all. You have a name, you know what they're going to do in the story. What can you do to bring that character from flat to three-dimensional? Now, besides brainstorming on their history, their family, their economic situation, their class, their race, how much money they have, their general opinions about the world, brainstorming on all those kind of things. Here is a technique that is, I find, just works magic on developing a character. I have this written down, and I have it by my monitor. It is the difference between how they intentionally present themselves and how others see them. I found that working this out is very different for each character that I work on. And the reason I like using this technique is that it takes the vague problem of trying to flesh out a three-dimensional character to this puzzle that I can work out. And by working with this puzzle with each character, it really makes a lot of things fall into place that fleshes the character out and at the same time makes the character really fit in the story. Also, I've learned when using this technique, it's really helpful to decide ahead of time that we're not going to stick with the ideas that we brainstorm along these lines, but they give us a stronger idea about who that character is. So if I try out the idea that the character dyes their hair, I may only be half into that idea, but I'll go ahead and brainstorm and write that down because it describes to me exactly what kind of character they are in terms of how they would attempt to present themselves to others. So as an example, I have a character who preys on other people, and not only that, her tactics, the way that she does that is to present herself as vulnerable. So the way that this describes the way that she intentionally presents herself. So she presents herself as helpless, but she wants to really make sure that others see her that way. And so she would present herself, make it much more obvious than most people would actually appear when they are in a situation where they're helpless, but they're not intending to appear helpless. So this character will say and do things that are a little too obvious, or are a little, for the characters in the story who read more into people, they would definitely, it would register with them that maybe she's just putting on an act. At the same time, it's very important for her to get ready to take advantage of people in certain ways. So they're, you know, and I'm just going to make up some stuff to give you an idea what I'm talking about, even though it isn't what I'm actually doing with this character. She could have a gun hidden in her suitcase. The reader sees this, but as you continue to present this character to the reader, there are, you know, it seems like she sure does go out of her way to present herself as helpless, to a point where some of the readers will start to wonder about what her true intention is. There's a contradiction between those two. There's a definite difference between these two. If you make a definite difference between how your character presents him or herself and who they actually are, making that difference distinct, there's something about that really appeals to the reader. How exactly you work out this formula really depends on the effect you want that character to have on the reader. In the example I gave, I wanted, you know, this is an antagonist, so I wanted to up the level, up the feeling of this character, you know, being potential harm to the protagonist. In real life, we feel very engaged when we meet people and can notice the separation between the things they do to present themselves as a certain kind of person and who we have evidence that who they really are, and the difference between these two. And this compels us in society. This is one of those things that captures our attention and makes us interested in our socializing, and we can have the same effect with our characters in fiction. Creative choices we have. We can decide how artificial this presentation is, or how authentic seeming it is, how obnoxious it is, or how subtle it is. Now, everyone works on the social mask. Everyone develops their social identity that is kind of there on the surface of the deeper levels of who they are. There's no escaping it, and there's nothing wrong about it either. It's just kind of another reality of being human. If you wear clothes, you're putting on some kind of uniform. You're putting on some kind of identity, and it's not a falsehood. It can be, but you know, think about it. You know, if you're going to go work in an office, you'll put on office clothes. It's a way of communicating with people so that they know how to relate to you. You know, if you're going to work in an art gallery, you're going to wear clothes that are, you know, expressive in ways so that when you meet people, they get an idea about how they want to, how you're going to talk with them, what kind of things you and they are going to talk about, and what kind of life you want to live. So there is a lot of necessity and sincerity in your social mask, but this is also, you know, something that plays into who we want to be and who we actually are, where we want to go and where we come from. And so, you know, this is one of those kernels of the human condition that can make for compelling characters. As an exercise, you can journal, find one person each day, or find, you know, a new person each week to journal about, and write down what are they intentionally doing, what are they consciously doing to present themselves in a certain way, and who is it that they want to define for the onlooker who they are, what title are they giving themselves, what kind of character do they want to be treated as, and then from there creatively come up with with things that are distinct, that are definitely different from that presentation. If you're ever concerned about your characters being too flat, try it with each of your character. Only spend an hour on each character. Find your favorite character in your story and write down, how do they consciously present themselves? How does the world see them? And make sure that do it creatively. Whatever first comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be what you stay with, but it'll trigger your creative thinking and it'll flesh out your character. Remember, the goal is to find creative and fun ways to flesh out your character. You don't need to do an exhaustive study of each character, and really, give the character as much fleshing out for the time that they actually appear in the story. For characters that show up to, say one thing and then they're gone and they're never to be, seen after that, they can be totally flat characters. They can be, here is the baker, here is the bus driver, and move on from there. Now try to work with this technique in a way so that you're having fun. Don't make it such a big deal. Just try it out. Say, I'll try this for 10 minutes and brainstorm. And if you're having fun, your reader will be more engaged in your writing in the long run. Because if you're having fun, then that means that you might discover a new interesting contrast between these 2 points of character, and so your reader will be interested in that contrast. Now I guarantee you, if you come up with one of these that really works well, the contrast between intended impression and actual impression, it is going to be something that is going to give you a lot of power over to how you can present that character and the way they're going to react in all the different situations that you put them in. So again, this turns out to be a very effective tool. Like as an example, it could be what they feel, how they feel they should act and how they actually want to act. It could be how they need to present themselves because of the social situations that they're in. When you journal about people, don't just write what they say and do and leave it in that. Find this as a lens through which to study them and find the formulas of their behavior. This is a great way to look at the people around you, and you can really get an idea about what the trajectory of their life will be like, and you can get a good sense of how they'll react in different situations and really understand why they say things that could seem totally random otherwise. So I hope this is helpful for your fiction writing. Please take the time to check out the story I'm working on at solomation.com, and also vote to get me to make more of these tutorials by hitting the like button, leave a comment, let the other viewers, if this has triggered an idea that you thought is along the lines of what the video discussed, leave a comment so that other viewers can read. Subscribe. Please tell other writers that you know about these videos if you find them helpful. I hope your writing goes very well, and I hope you have a good day. This is a quick side note, because as artists we can all use more motivation to get into doing our artwork. However you're going to spend your day today will send ripples into your future. So no matter what you're doing, recognize that you're not just doing that activity in the moment, you're also sending these ripples out about the way the rest of your life is going to be. Through your action, you are determining what the rest of your life will be like. And if you have a great day, you send out only a few ripples, but if you pile them up, if you do this on a daily basis, you can continue to reinforce it, and it has a greater and greater and greater effect that builds up. Much more able to get motivated and bring a lot of energy to your artwork. Humans are the most highly adaptive animals. We are able to rapidly and very effectively adapt to any environment. Now, an environment, the activity you're engaged in is a big part of your environment. So when you sit down to do your artwork, you begin adapting to that activity. So in the future, you're going to find it easier to do artwork. You're going to find yourself getting better and better and better at it.